Michael.
So big week for Trey Spivey going up against his former team. What has impressed you about how he's evolved as a receiver since you got him?
Coach Gonzalez will attest to this, but he's grown tremendously since the spring. In the spring, it was almost, obviously new system, new way of practicing. The tempo was different, getting in shape, getting some chemistry with Noah and other quarterbacks, learning the signals, all that stuff was a lot. And once he kind of settled in, you really could see his skill set. And like he said, I told you, he wants to be more than just a big body receiver. And I believe he is, because he can really accelerate. And I think you saw that on the touchdown that we threw him this past weekend, where it was just a little flat throw. But when he caught the ball, he accelerated through the end zone. And I think that's a skill set that most people don't see as him, because like I said, he's a big body, which I prefer, especially on the edge, because those guys can make things right, which he does a lot of the time. He can go up and get balls over people's heads, 50-50 jump balls, and then separate, when the coverage is tight. But at the same time, there's times where he can really separate by being explosive, and kind of leave you behind. There's a couple. I remember a couple plays in camp that we threw, deep post and deep B's to him, and he was running. And so it excites me. I think he's still growing, and I think he's got a lot of confidence, especially through the camp that he had, and then a couple plays that he made. The first play of the season, we threw a ball that probably shouldn't have been thrown, and he made the play. So I'm excited about him. I'm excited that he's getting this opportunity to play this weekend, or on Friday, against some of his former teammates, for sure.
And with the first game, having more rushing touchdowns, last game kind of more pass-centric, how do you think the offense has looked through the first two games?
Well, the first game I was a little bit frustrated on how we played in the second half, because I felt like there was a little bit of a lull. We had like 17 points in like 23 plays, and I could be wrong on that, but it was something like that. So Danny gave us the ball on a short field, so I felt like we did a good job of executing the first half, and then the second half I felt like after halftime we kind of relaxed. We came out and scored right out of the gate. And then relaxed, and that's just not the standard that I want to set. That's not the type of offense I want to be. I want to step, on people's throats. And then last weekend, I thought we were way more explosive. I thought we had more opportunities to be explosive. Like I said, I felt like that first game we were on short fields, so the calls were a little bit different. This game we got a chance to get in a rhythm early. I still wish we could have finished a little bit better. My standard is extremely high. Those kids know that. So, but I was really proud of the way they played. I thought both games, the effort has been tremendous. The intention has been tremendous. We just got to make sure that when it's time to finish, that we finish.
Michael and Brian.
Where did you think that Noah made the most growth from week 1 to week 2?
Yeah, I think it's, you guys know this. Playing quarterback's the toughest position to play in all sports, because you don't see everything, and when things aren't going great, it's always your fault, and that's part of playing the position. Was it all his fault? No. There was MAs all over the place. Was there times that it was his fault early in that first game? Yeah, his eyes progression was fast. He missed throws he doesn't normally miss. I thought his feet were a little happy at times, but the greatest thing about him is he owned it. After the game on Weber, like I told you, I was a little bit disappointed in the way we finished. And he came up to me and said, "Coach, that's on me." And right then I knew, that just told me everything. I already knew the kid, I already knew who he was and what he's about, but it was like, okay, he is a real one. And so he took a lot of ownership of that first game, of how that's not the standard of play he wants to play at. But he also took the accountability and owned it, fixed it, going into that next week, and played pretty elite, and I think there's a few throws he'd like to have back, a few reads he'd like to have back, but missed 5 throws all game, and a couple of them could have been caught, right? And then he had a couple really impressive scrambles. I thought, to me, he's a little bit different than he was last year on his feet when he decides he wants to use it, so that's going to be another advantage to his game. But I'm really proud of him. I'm proud of the way he responded. I'm proud of the way he prepped. He prepped really hard. And then, I think it's, for a guy like Noah, where he does put so much work into his preparation in the week, that sometimes like you just got to encourage him, man, go let it loose, because I think guys get so bottled up. I'm one of them, you know, and especially when I was playing, and I always felt like I was the most prepared on the field. There was nobody that was more prepared than me. But then you got to go let it loose. You got to go play, and I thought he did a great job of that on Saturday.
Brian and then Troy.
Is the Service Academy about the worst kind of opponent your opponent could have played the week before when it comes to scouting?
When it comes to tape,
Yeah.
because it's a little bit useless just because obviously the schematics don't add up. You're not gonna defend us as the same as you defend Army or Navy or Air Force, whoever they're playing. So yeah, it's a little bit useless tape. Now, I think if you ask anybody else in the country, you don't really want to play those games because you know it could happen like it did. You know, they're on the field for I don't know how many snaps they were on the field, but something crazy like 40 plus plays. When they got that onside recovery, so that was tough on them. I know listening to a few press conferences, you know, they're a little bit, you know, worn down from that game, and so they got to do a great job of recovery this week so they can come in fresh and give us, you know, which I anticipate fully. You know, it's Kansas State, it's a Big 12 game, and these guys are full of tradition, so regardless of who they played the week before, they're gonna come out, we're gonna get their best shot. But yeah, from a scheme standpoint, it's a little bit useless.
So do you have to look more at the first two games then?
Yeah. Absolutely. And then those are a little bit skewed too, just because Iowa State's a 12, 13, 14. I mean, they got play every single tight end they had on the roster. They're playing in big sets, and then North Dakota was in bigger sets too. So you're not getting a great idea of what they're going to do to you. So you got to use a little bit of imagination. And then obviously with the change of schemes, you know, they're a little bit more forward down than they were last year. So I anticipate that, but I'm not naive to the fact that I could get the 3-down version too. So we'll be prepared for both.
Troy and then Jason.
Couple questions. One, just your overall thoughts on Rhino getting into last game and just how he was able to perform.
Super proud of him. I think going through what he went through, and then, you know, obviously I've been through 2 ACLs myself, so the recovery of that is like a roller coaster. One day you feel great, and the next week, 2 weeks, you feel like, am I ever going to play again? So I know from a mentality standpoint, that's a roller coaster for him. But I thought he's attacked, ever since I've been here, he's attacked the rehab process and put himself in a position to be ready to play right now. You know, and I don't think that's always the case. I've been at other places where you don't have those guys ready to play. Well, it's because they didn't attack the rehab and attack the training like Rhino did. So I'm really proud of the way he's built himself up to play, and I thought there were some good moments. I think for Rhino, it's just getting into football shape. You know, I think, you know, you can practice all you want, you can train all you want, but when you get out in that football field, all of a sudden you go 8 or 9 drives and it's all tempo and you can't breathe. That's a different type of feeling, and you still got to be able to execute, you know, your assignment and your technique, so to give us the best chance to have success. So I think that's the biggest thing for him, is just continue to get in shape. But you know, when he's on the field, we're different, and I'm excited to have him back.
And then the last couple of weeks, if you review the film with the holding penalties from the receiving room and the offensive line this past week, just your thoughts on that and how do you kind of balance that?
Yeah, it balance is a great word, because to me, like one penalty is too many penalties. Just like a turnover. One turnover is too many turnovers. So the standard for us is play penalty-free football. But also, I'm not naive to the fact that guys are going to play hard and the ball's going to bounce, and they're thinking that the ball's going to hit inside, so they have inside leverage and the ball bounces, and all of a sudden they're trying to sustain a block while they hold. So I'm not naive to the fact that there's going to be holding penalties, but there can't be that many. Like I said, I felt like last weekend we just had way too many. And I felt like, okay, the ball did bounce a few times. Like I said, there's times where the ball bounces, and I can understand that. I can rationalize that. But also, I felt like we got tired and we stopped moving our feet at times, and not sustaining blocks, and that's why we held. And a couple of them were critical penalties. So we got to eliminate that. That's been addressed. I think our kids know that. You know, it's been unfortunate these first couple of games, because that's the difference between a touchdown and a field goal. You know, Noah scores twice with his legs, and neither one of them count.
Jason and Justin.
How would you assess the offensive line's play through 2 years?
I think they've been good. I think they can be better. I think Coach Oglesby is one of the better coaches I've ever been around. I think they meet and he demands a standard that to me is an elite, is going to give us a chance to play at a high level. I think that group is just growing together. I do think they believe and they have some great camaraderie. But there's also some times where like, hey, we're gonna need some guys to really continue to develop so we can be the team that we want to be. But like from like the first game, I thought we ran the ball really well. I thought we had some protection issues that we addressed. And then this past weekend, I thought we protected a lot more better. But I didn't think we blocked in the run game as well as we did the week before. So I think if you ask that question to any OC in the country, they're going to tell you like we can be better. Anybody up front. But I do like the guys that we have there, and I do believe in them. And I know they're working every day to make it right. So it'll be a big challenge for us this weekend. I'm excited to see because I think this is going to really tell us where we're at there. Just because I do think their D line is a quality group. I think they have a couple edge pieces that we haven't seen yet, at least not in a game. So I'm excited to see where they're at, and I'm excited to see how they respond to this challenge because it's going to be a big challenge for them.
And then just one more thing. On the opposite kind of perspective, you've had mobile quarterbacks in the past. Kansas State as a mobile quarterback. As an offensive coordinator, how does that change or add to what you can do offensively when you have a quarterback that can get out and run?
Well, if you're not afraid of running, you basically can call anything. And the greatest thing about like a guy like Avery, and then you see Noah doing it a little bit too, is he can make a bad play right. You know, whether it be a busted route, a missed block, or they just covered it, or they fit it, he can make you right. And I think that's what, you know, Braylon did for me at Marshall. There was a couple times where it probably should have been stuffed, whether it was quarterback run or, like I said, like we missed a protection deal, and next thing you know, Braylon's on the edge and he's going for 50, you know. And so I know that defense coordinators struggle with that just because it's like, man, we had him dead to rights, and this dude just outran everybody. And so, like I said, I think he can make things right, and then in the run game he can give you problems just because you have an extra hat and you can manipulate boxes that way. So, I mean, I know he's a good player. I think it just depends on if you're willing to get that dude hit or not. That's another thing about running quarterbacks. I think which ones are fast. You know, guys that want to run on the edge, and then you have like really powerful guys that you can run in between the tackles, and they're just basically another running back that can throw it, you know. And I think that's the one that you have to really worry about is the guy that's not afraid to get hit, that can stick his foot and get vertical, because he can really, really challenge you. And so that's my take on mobile QBs.
Sorry. I'll ask two of Justin and Michael.
Got a couple for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was your first touchdown pass at Texas Tech against Kansas State?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, my redshirt freshman year.
Okay.
Little post, like a stick post in mop-up duty. I think we were up like 50 to Brick Breaker.
Okay.
Friendship guy, Texas guy, walk-on receiver. Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, what do you remember about the games against Kansas State and the battles you guys had?
Shoot. Well, when I played them, it was Colin Klein, and they were a top 10 team. And you know, I remember I show the quarterbacks this all the time. One of the biggest hits I've ever taken was at K-State, and but it's a kind of a teachable lesson because they're showing, you know, a pressure look. We have a zone called, and we have a three-man screen to the field side, and I have an RPO, like a single RPO to the single. Well, I have either option. What I can't do is hold the ball. Well, I go to throw my single, and he runs a short route, and it froze me because I'm like, wait, did you just run that 2-step? You know what I mean? Like, it froze me. The next thing you know, I'm holding the ball where they have edge pressure that I'm responsible for, and I just get blasted, fumble, touchdown. And so I remember those guys being extremely physical and really good on defense. And then obviously they've always been able to pound the rock with the mobile quarterback. Like I said, Colin was always the guy when I was playing him. and they were always tough to play. So I'm excited about this weekend, and I know we're gonna get their best shot regardless. Like, okay, you can give all the excuses all you want. Like, they just played Army. Like, it was a tough game for them. They had to play a bunch of snaps on defense. You can hear the head coach talk about how they're a little bit beat up and they got to do a great job of getting healthy. But I fully expect that we're going to get their best shot, because to me, that's not a program that's just going to lay down when you back them into a corner. That's a program full of tradition of fight and physicality. So I know we're going to get a real fight this week on Friday night, and I think our guys are ready for it and they're going to be prepared for it. So I'm excited about it.
We'll finish up with Michael.
You had 8 different receivers catch passes in week 1, 12 different receivers catch passes in week 2. Do you like that sort of distribution? How does that help?
Yeah, I think
It's difficult for a defense.
right, and I think the limitation with Hutt being out has allowed that to happen too. And then obviously Chris Hunter didn't play the first game. He played a little bit, didn't play much. So it allowed that rotation to be what it is, which was good, because I felt like some of those guys needed to get real game experience going into, quote unquote, Big 12 opponents, because this is where it really matters and this is what real football is about. And so, I'm excited that they got those reps. I'm excited Mizell got those reps. I'm excited Gio got those reps. I'm excited Phelps made some plays, because, through this long journey of a Big 12 schedule, you're going to need those guys. And so they might not be your starters yet, but they're going to be great rotational players. And I'm excited that they've made plays early, so they know what that feels like. So it's not like, okay, I need you to go make a fade catch against Kansas State, and this is the first time I'm expecting you to do that. Well, now you've done this. You've been in the end zone. You've made a big time third down catch. You've gotten popped, right? So you know how to respond from getting popped. And so I'm excited about that group. And like you said, it's been a healthy rotation. I think those guys are all in it for the right reasons, and they all have each other's backs. And then when we get fully healthy, I think it can be dangerous for sure.